thing we have that makes this place great is we know ourselves.
It's all about people, and it's all about relationships.
To feel like you can walk up and have a conversation with the leaders of the university, to be able to get immediate feedback because class size is smaller, that makes a difference for a lot of our students.
The community and how it embraces UNK, I think, also really adds to the value of the educational and life experience here at UNK.
I think our community takes a lot of pride and ownership in university. It is our university. We recognize the value of the university, we recognize the value of community growth and the value of having a safe community with jobs, good quality jobs, and so it all fits into a nice community we call Kearney.
Nothing's ever easy, particularly in rural Nebraska, and it wasn't easy to bring out new education and new buildings and new programming to rural Nebraska, and it was difficult. But people's desire for education has always been really strong, and they'll overcome a lot of hardships and a lot of political difficulties to do what I think the citizens, and particularly the citizens in rural Nebraska, need, and that's education. And that's been the hallmark of whether it's Kearney Normal or the University of Nebraska Kearney.
This institution has been through probably a half a dozen name changes, but once we became Kearney State College, then things really began to emerge pretty dramatically. Certainly, the campus had not prepared for that sudden and inevitable growth spurt that it went on like an adolescent. It just sort of popped up on the scene.
It was friendly, it was bustling. I just had a good vibe from the people that were here, the students I met.
Good news travels rapidly, and that's exactly what happened to us. We were very much on the cutting edge of this whole renaissance of higher education in Nebraska. So it was very, very gratifying to watch how people began to take recognition of what was happening on this campus.
We didn't have enough classrooms for it, the office space, because we had to hire new faculty. It was a deal. I had better facilities from the high school I came from.
We were short of funding and facilities during that time period, and we were fortunate to receive what we now call the West Center in 1972. That helped the campus a great deal with facilities, but there was a need for a lot of facilities to be improved.
When it comes to the college of your choice, Kearney State College invites you to get to know us.
Well, I got here in '86, and the first thing I heard when I got on campus was this buzz about the president of the college not only saying that Kearney State College was the best kept secret in the state of Nebraska, but that in fact we really were a university without the name.
I'm William Nestor, president of Kearney State College, the most dynamic college in Nebraska.
I think that there was an emerging future to the institution that really wasn't evident yet, but you could feel it, you could sense it.
We needed a change. We were much larger than the other state colleges, but we were somewhat held back.
As Kearney State College had grown in its numbers, President Nestor had brought the issue up with the Board of Trustees relative to budget.
It was really a point where Kearney had grown too large for the state college system, and they were more than the size of the other institutions put together. We did not fit very well. And so the citizens of the community began to say, look, we need things for the campus. We need better residence halls, we need better classrooms, we need the opportunity to expand. Help us.
The scuttlebutt was that Nestor had been giving this conversation a go for 2 or 3 times, and the Board of Trustees was pretty adamant that they weren't going to do much.
And those who knew Bill Nestor knew that he was a man that did not understand N-O.
He was like a dog. Once he got a hold of you, he was going to shake you until he got what he wanted.
He was at the point of saying, well, then we may have to shake the cage up a little bit and see what other ways there might be to get a designation as a university and an accompanying larger fund of resources.
He just made it a mission, a personal mission, a professional mission to move this institution to the next higher level.
He had a vision of what he wanted UNK to be, or Kearney State College, and it was to be basically a university of stature, and he never wavered from that goal.
Well, the goal is to prepare students for the 21st century. It's a dynamic institution.
He not only had an imagination that this is what Kearney State College could become, but in his mind it was already there.
That's the reason today on our campus, the lounge that connects Nestor Hall is called University View, after Bill Nestor.
I don't think there was too much controversy about whether we were a university. The controversy was more with how would we be governed? If we became a university, would we be separate? How could we still be part of the state college system? I happened to be on faculty senate, so I conducted a survey and looked at all the colleges and universities within a 17-state area, kind of in the Midwest here, and compared all the schools based on enrollment, types of programs offered, and found that, yeah, we were one of the largest institutions offering graduate degrees, and there were only a couple of us still called a college. We also conducted a name survey of the faculty. If we did become a university, what should our name be? And the runaway winner in that was Nebraska State University.
There was a clear division among the alumni because many of them thought they would lose their identity if we became part of the university system. So they were proud Kearney State alumni. They were proud Nebraska State Teacher College alumni. But at the same time, I think they knew that it also would enhance their degree as well. Students were concerned with cost, but we generally had very strong student support for having a university experience.
My good friends Scott Moore and I, we decided that we wanted to get involved in student government. I must say that, it made me feel like, the university valued me because they trusted me to join these meetings on behalf of the students.
There were more people who really like, this is a bad idea, than there were who was a good idea. The one guy who was saying, this is a really good idea and really pushing it was Nestor. And in terms of being a good poker player, everybody just kept saying, isn't going to happen, isn't going to happen. And Bill was the guy who said, well, you know what? It's going to happen. If we have to play hardball politics with it, isn't that? If I have to use all of my political capital. And I think the Board of Trustees never really believed him. Things took a turn towards reality when Jerome Warner, Senator Warner, sort of picked up this issue as a priority issue for himself in the legislature.
I got wind of the fact that the senator from Kearney was gathering other senators' names in support of a resolution for the legislature to bring Kearney State and the 3 other state colleges in as a separate university system. The primary problem was that we would become competitive, and that's, to me, a real danger. Therefore, I got a hold of Senator Warner immediately.
Senator Warner, who was the dean of the legislature and had been there for many, many years, was head of the Appropriations Committee, was the most powerful senator in the state. He told the story of sitting on his tractor, thinking about this issue, deciding, Kearney really was a university, and the best way to handle that was to bring them into the university system.
It was a difficult situation because there were several legislators that were not in favor of us moving from the state college system to the university.
You know, I think one of the comments was Lincoln rues the day when they ever brought Omaha into the university system. And the people in Omaha were offended, saying, now wait a minute, we did not dilute the university system. Well, that brought all the Omaha senators on board.
I think UNO and the medical center were instrumental in our being able to move in a different direction.
But, you know, the bill winds up being challenged in court. A majority of the Supreme Court agrees that it's unconstitutional. But if you know your law and your history, it takes a supermajority of the Nebraska Supreme Court to overturn an act of the legislature. And so that process, even though a majority of the Supreme Court said it is unconstitutional, because they didn't have a supermajority of the law, became effective. And then in 1991, we officially became part of the university system.
I must say it has been one of the joys of my life to see the great accomplishment as a result of that has occurred both in terms of the university as a totality and as an individual part of the university system. It's just marvelous. It's almost beyond belief.
Now, that said, that doesn't mean that everything fit together the way that you thought it would.
You know, a name doesn't make you great. You got to walk the talk.
Once the legal issue was resolved, there were a lot of questions.
There was a transition team developed to work with Lincoln to help organize our thought processes and our behaviors and whatever else. And I can remember about the second or third transition team meeting that we had. One of these high rollers said, wait a minute, Howard, don't you understand what's happening here? You're joining us. We're not joining you.
I think the challenges were that we had whole new systems that we had to work with, and also the expectations for the faculty and the staff changed as we became a part of the University of Nebraska system. We went to more of a concern about research and such as that.
That was one of the issues. Now, whether it came because we were a university issue or whether it was the evolution of higher education, because I think that's part of it.
I think both the faculty and the administrative community together, they looked that one right square in the eyes and didn't blink, and decided two things. One, yes, we're going to ratchet up our requirements for research, we're going to ratchet up our scholastic requirements for faculty, but we're not going to do that at the cost of leaving the students. We're not going to leave our undergraduate students behind. So what we're going to do is prioritize for our campus undergraduate research and place a big emphasis on our faculty not only doing their research but engineering into that research model a way to continually engage the undergraduate students.
It took some time, but I was really proud of the faculty, how they really got involved in a little different atmosphere.
The thing that I remember most is the sense of coalesced energy that this institution developed for itself.
The newer faculty were absolutely delighted. It's like, wow, we get to be here at the ground floor of this very exciting thing that's obviously going to be long and transitional, but it's all headed in the right direction. I mean, we're talking about resources, collaboration, advanced research, moving pedagogy forward. It's a very exciting period of time.
It was a very different place, a different institution, but with the same ethos, the same sense of commitment to students, undergraduate as well as graduate students in selected programs. So it was a wonderful mix of old and new.
It seemed like our name and our prestige went up immensely. And I think that helped us to gain more recognition, not only in the state, but in the area and even in the country.
If you really look at the heart of what's made it better, it's the quality of the faculty we were able to attract. The faculty was always good at Kearney State College. I mean, they were tremendous teachers, very dedicated with the resources they had. But once we became part of the University of Nebraska, and that was on the job description, we got a whole different type of candidate, young, aggressive faculty members who had a research ability that enhanced their teaching, and they loved to teach. And so what was always the foundation of the campus, and that is caring for students and teaching them, was enhanced by the quality of the faculty who came in.
Maybe we lucked out. Maybe it says a lot about the type of people who make up the Kearney community. Maybe it says an awful lot about how fortunate we were that the older faculty and leadership worked very well with the new faculty that came in. But when it was all said and done, and we sort of came out of the tunnel at the other end as the University of Nebraska at Kearney, with our character and our community intact.
People worked hard when we were Kearney State College, but the resources just weren't there. When you walk across campus now, you see the remodeled business school, you see the health education center, you see the new education building, Bruner Hall of Science, the athletic facilities, the intramural facilities. These are things I really don't think would have happened if we'd have stayed in the state college system. So what you physically see at UNK is a direct result of being in the University of Nebraska system. And with that comes the quality education that the students want and get.
It is the best place for an undergraduate to go in the state of Nebraska. That's what's important. There is not a reduction in quality because we are in the center of the state, high quality. So Kearney is what Kearney has always been, student-centered. It just now has a much higher quality of faculty, facilities, and private support. Small faculty-student ratios remain the same. That is the hallmark of the campus. We know who you are, we care who you are, and we have the quality to enhance your value and make you a tremendous citizen. That will never change here.
To the people that have been here before myself, laying down the base or the foundation, I would say that they have done an excellent job, that their work and their dedication, their passion is not in vain. And it's just amazing what they have done.
The last 25 years have gone so quickly, and I don't think anybody could have envisioned the massive change that has happened physically and from a people perspective on this campus. But that's the last 25. I think the exciting times are what's the next 25 years hold?
The future couldn't be brighter. Collaboration, for example, with the University of Nebraska Medical Center. That collaboration between the colleges of nursing and allied health professions at UNMC and UNK bodes well for the future, not only in those college areas and the delivery of health care to rural Nebraska, but also in terms of next steps with other colleges. We've begun to make similar steps in collaboration with UNL in engineering.
Our ability to access programming, to collaboratively work with the other campuses should never be underestimated. So I see more targeted programming, more collaboration with the other campuses, leveraging their strength and our strength. I see University Village growing and enhancing the community of Kearney, making Kearney a great place to come, to live, to work, and also to engage with the university.
The partnership that we have in our community is outstanding, and this is another example where we can work together and meet needs of the community and also the needs of the university. The success of UNK is pivotal to the success of Kearney.
Universities do lots of things that are really important to society. I want to make sure that the University of Nebraska is the best place in the country to be a student. And one of the ways that we can do that is to ensure that students, regardless of what their background is, graduate on time with less debt, that our campuses are accessible, affordable. Kearney can do that, and Kearney can lead the way for the rest of the country.